Welcome to today's video where we are going to talk about all things engorgement. Today, I'm going to help you understand what engorgement is and why it happens. We're going to go over some quick relief tips so that if you ever find yourself in this situation, you can get some relief fairly quickly. And also, we are going to talk about, I'm sorry, y'all, I got my notes up here and I just want to make sure it's the right ones. It is. All right, so we are going to talk about the relief tips and how to prevent this in the future. So hang on, sit tight with me over the next few minutes, because if you plan to breastfeed, if you are pregnant, gonna be giving birth soon, you plan to breastfeed, then absolutely you need to know this information, because you could find yourself in a lot of pain and you need to know how to get that relief. So if this is your very first time joining one of my lives, my name is Stephanie Poole. I am a certified lactation consultant and doula, and I help first-time moms prepare for birth and breastfeeding with confidence. So if you are not already subscribed to the channel, but you're pregnant, and you're going to be giving birth soon, then you definitely want to go ahead and subscribe, because I put out content every single week. I go live very often, especially in the month of January. And so, yeah, you will definitely find value in being part of the Birth Prep Academy community, the Birth Prep Academy family, I should say. All right, with that being said, let's hop into today's topic of engorgement. So let's start by just understanding what engorgement is. Engorgement is overfilled ducts. Engorgement is inflammation in your breast. So when you are breastfeeding, right, you get on a regular cadence of your baby's feedings. And good afternoon from Spain. Wow. Thank you for letting me know where you're joining from. Please, everyone, do the same. Hello. I'm Stephanie. I'm going live from Detroit. So just a fun fact about me, I'm in Michigan. It's cold out, y'all, but I'm here. And we're talking about engorgement. All right, so why does engorgement happen? Engorgement happens because of increased blood flow to the breast. One of the ways is because after birth, you have a lot of increased blood flow coming in those first few days of postpartum. It also happens because your milk starts to increase. So right after birth, right, you kick off a hormone to tell your body, okay, baby is here. We got to start increasing that breast milk production. And when that happens, you have more milk starting to increase in volume, which can sometimes result in inflammation. That typically happens day 3 to day 5, right after you give birth. That's important to know, because now you can start looking out for those particular signs. Also, let me know in the comments if you are pregnant or if you have recently given birth and you're already breastfeeding, just so I know who I'm talking to and I can make sure to add value based on where you are in your pregnancy journey. All right. Another reason for engorgement is because of missed feedings. Once you start to breastfeed, it's important that you stay on a particular cadence to empty your breast, to relieve your breast of that milk, to expel the milk. Because without it, you'll start to get this inflammation. Another reason for engorgement is oversupply. So I know it's popular, right, on TikTok to show these moms, and they literally have like a gallon of milk almost that they're pumping. And I know that when, because this is oftentimes what I get with clients. So they'll be scrolling and they'll see these moms expressing all of this breast milk on TikTok or Instagram, whatever. And they'll consult me and say, hey, I'm only getting a few ounces. And my response is this: your body makes exactly what your baby needs. So if your baby is telling your body that it needs more, you make milk on demand. It's not stored. You're not a factory. It is I'm sorry, you're not a warehouse, you're a factory. So you make milk on demand. On demand is when you make milk. Um, and you don't want to make too much milk. You don't want to send your body the wrong signal and tell your body you need milk when you really don't need milk. Because what happens? That results in an oversupply, which is that engorgement. Now you have too much milk and you're trying to release it, right? That discomfort is coming from having too much milk because you've told your body somewhere along the line, I need more milk, make more milk. So that can often cause engorgement. The other reason for engorgement is if you change your feeding patterns. So let's say sometimes it happens if your baby is sick. When your baby gets a cold, maybe they're not eating as much because they're sleeping a little bit more. Well, you still have to pump that breast for the missed meal. So if your baby is sleeping because they're not feeling well, maybe they're running a fever, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to wake them, but you definitely have to still pump, because not releasing that milk could result in engorgement. And y'all, if you've never experienced it before, it is painful. It can be very painful. The last reason as to why someone may become engorged is also because of clogged ducts. Now, it's a term that is commonly used, which is clogged ducts, but we as lactation consultants understand it a little bit differently. And I'm going to explain that to you. Your ducts aren't actually clogged. That's a term that we use, but what's happening is there's inflammation in your breast tissue around that duct area. And that inflammation, I'm bringing up my screen here, that inflammation is causing the pain. It's causing those ducts to be narrowed. That's important to understand, because when we get into ways to treat engorgement, it will make sense why I'm talking about that inflammation and why you need to understand that it's there. So those are all reasons why you could potentially have engorgement or deal with engorgement. Now, this is all important. What I like to do is educate my moms up front, because when you're pregnant, if you understand how breastfeeding works, if you understand how to troubleshoot some of the common issues, then that helps you to have a smoother journey. What does that mean? That means that you're able to breastfeed a little bit longer, right? You're able to stick with it a little bit longer and get your baby the nutrition that they actually need. So that's the purpose of this today. It's not just for me to, to get on and to talk. It's to get on and for you to understand. Because even if you haven't had your baby yet and you haven't started breastfeeding, will it help you if you've already started breastfeeding? Absolutely. Because after today, you'll know exactly how to handle this particular situation. But even if you haven't started yet and you're pregnant, you will understand what you're up against and how to quickly navigate that issue so that you can continue breastfeeding and you don't stop. Believe it or not, most moms, once they hit a particular, problem, they will pull back or stop nursing altogether. And we don't want that. As a lactation consultant, I want you to be able to keep going. Okay. And so let's talk about how do we treat engorgement, especially quickly, because, okay, so let me kind of jump in here with the personal story of a client that I had. So I had a client who had started breastfeeding. We got her off to a great start. And she was driving home one night and she called me and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I am in so much pain. My breast hurts so bad. Can you help?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, what's going on?" She begins to explain to me. And I tell her, "Okay, you get home, this is what I want you to do," which I'm going to hop into those steps. But essentially, what happened was she had kind of started dipping her toe back into working, and she had been away from the baby. So she hadn't latched the baby. And because she was so busy working, she missed pumping. And thus, it resulted in engorgement. So, here are ways for you to get quick relief. The first one is what we call hot and cold therapy. And I often do this even in the hospital whenever there's inflammation in the breast, when that milk starts to increase. One of the things that you can always do to help to express milk before a feed, to optimize your chance of getting a good feed, especially in those early days, as you get into sync with your baby, you likely won't need to do this. But in those early days when you're encouraging that milk to flow, before feeding your baby, I want you to apply a warm compress. Does that make sense? If it does, put a 1 in the comments. Apply a warm compress before the feeding. Then I want you to feed your baby. And when you're done, I want you to apply a cold pack. So we're doing a hot and cold therapy to help with that engorgement. Why? Because you need to go ahead and express the milk, and that warm compress will help to relieve some of the pressure and help to get that optimal release of the breast milk. And then the cold pack will help with some of the swelling after the feeding. Okay? So the first tip is hot and cold therapy. The second tip to treat engorgement is with hand expression and pumping. So what I want you to do is, if you become engorged and you're in pain, is to, you can get in the shower, right? Or you can just apply the warm compress we talked about, but you can definitely stand underneath the shower. I encourage my moms to do this, and just do a very light massage. A very light massage. The warm water will help to trigger a letdown, and that massage will just help to get work through some of that inflammation as well. Okay, so you can that will also help with hand expression, because once you get out of the shower, that warm compress, anytime you have heat, so if you're applying a warm compress, or if you hop in the shower, I always tell my moms, try to time it around a pumping session or a session when it's time to feed the baby, because that heat is going to optimize your triggered letdown of milk. You don't want to waste the milk. So after you get out of the shower, go ahead and feed the baby or pump. Or after you apply that warm compress, go ahead, feed the baby or pump. But you need to release that milk by having some kind of expression of the milk. Okay? So that's tip number 2. You need to do a hand expression or pumping. And sometimes hand expression can almost be a little bit more effective than pumping. So, whatever works for you, but definitely don't discount being able to hand express. Now, if you want information in detail about hand expression, I do go over that in my private sessions and inside of my course, but for the sake of this live, just know that that is something that you can do to help relieve engorgement. That was tip number 2. The last tip is to do massage, and to also take an anti-inflammatory if you can. Here in the United States, we have things like Motrin Not everyone can take Motrin, so if there is a reason why you should not, you absolutely need to, consult with your doctor and make sure it's safe for you to take. But one of the reasons why it is often referred to from providers, right, for pain is because it does also have an anti-inflammatory effect as well. And again, if you were here at the beginning, you know that we talked about engorgement being inflamed tissue, breast tissue, and ducts in the area. It can come from that inflammation. And so to help with that, you can take an anti-inflammatory or you can simply massage. But before you take anything, you always need to check with your provider first. Now, with that being said, let's just kind of go back over some of the tips that I talked about, because I want to make sure that you guys really understand how to treat this to get that fast relief. Now, at the end, I'm also going to give you a bonus one that is highly, highly talked about. And has been assessed as effective. So stay to the end and I'm going to give you that bonus tip. But let's just quickly review what we've already gone over, which is hot and cold therapy. We talked about that. We talked about hand expression and pumping, right? And then we talked about being able to massage, whether it's in the shower or after you apply the warm compress. Those are all important, okay? Now, the bonus tip that I want to give you guys is, believe it or not, cabbage leaves. I know. If you're experienced, maybe you've heard of this before. If you are a new mom, you likely may not have heard of this tip or technique, but people who have tried it, clients of mine who have tried it, moms, they absolutely rave over it. It's simple, it's easy, and it's effective. So what you do is, if you have a cabbage in your refrigerator, then what you would do is just take 2 leaves off, right? And you're just going to place them right on the breast. The coolness, the reason as to why it is suspected that this simple, natural tip actually works and is very effective is that the coolness in the cabbage leaves from being in the refrigerator, you take off the leaves and you cup them onto the breast. The coolness of it helps to relieve instant discomfort. So it's a fast, quick relief. Most people find it to be. And they believe that it's not necessarily anything in the cabbage that's giving the relief, more than it is just the nice fit of a cabbage leaf that perfectly wraps around and kind of hugs your breast. So that is definitely one. I know it sounds like one of those things where you're like, really? Yes, really, because it actually has been found to be effective. A lot of women have tried it. A lot of women, including some of my clients, have tried it and find it to be highly, highly, highly effective. So you can always try that if you're looking, when I mention a hot or a cold pack, then you could also switch that out for cabbage leaves. All right. I am so excited that you decided to join me today. If you found this to be valuable, please, please, please like this video and share it with another pregnant mom who could likely find it valuable as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. There are 2 ways that you can work with me, either one-on-one in an intensive, or I do have a course to help you prepare for your birth like a doggone boss. It's good, y'all. It is the exact strategy that I use with my doula clients in person, and I kind of packaged it up so that you can have access to it too. If that's something that you're interested in, you can always check the description box below my videos. I encourage you to check out a few of my other videos. I am going live every day in January, and we're covering all sorts of topics. I'll be live tomorrow as well. And yeah, I love when you guys join me. So please stay tuned for tomorrow. Check out a few of my other episodes that I have on birth, on breastfeeding, on postpartum, on birth plans. It's all there on the channel. And if you are not subscribed, may I ask why? May I ask why? What are you doing with your life, sis? Subscribe to the channel. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Love your week by week guide. Oh, great. I'm so glad you checked them out. Oh, wow. That makes me so happy. That makes me so happy that you found value in those week by week videos. And if there's other topics that you want me to talk about, to kind of walk you through the journey, don't hesitate. Leave it under my videos because I actually respond to all of my comments. I love talking with you guys. It is truly my joy to do it. So if there's anything that you have questions about along this birth and breastfeeding journey, I'm your go-to doula. I can help you. So be sure to leave a comment. Until tomorrow, I will see you guys. Love you and happy birthing. Bye.